So, T-Jump, you're going first?
I don't know.
Did you want to go first, Mango T?
Yeah, I'm happy to go first.
You want to?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. And did you guys talk about a time for your openings?
Nope. Don't care. Let's just get this over with.
How long do you have a written opening, Mango T? Do you have a time that you need on the clock?
Yeah, I'll basically when I stop talking.
I'm sorry?
Maybe like 5 minutes.
5 minutes you need? Okay.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Is my audio fine?
It's a little hard to hear you. It's a little, how do you say, distorted. Other noises in the background. I think it's an artifact of the Bluetooth.
Should I just switch off Bluetooth and just...
I don't think it would be much better. I don't know.
But you can hear me though, right?
I mean, if you could turn it off and turn it back on easily, and we could try it and see how it sounds.
Is this better now?
Sounds better to me. What about you, T-Jump?
I don't care. I don't care at all. I'm just ready to go. I want to get this over with.
Yeah, I think that sounds better. All right. Here we go. Wrong one.
Oh, Kaz, we doing something? What's going on? Yep, typical modern day debate technical issues as always. The wrong link or something? Like, what's going on?
Is everything all right?
How should I know? Oh, he sent us a new link. We have to join the new link.
Okay, cool.
Sorry about that.
Should have told us before you left that we needed to change rooms.
I didn't know that was the wrong room. I closed it and yeah. Sorry. Here he is. Okay. All right. Let's try this again.
Awesome.
People of the internet, welcome to Modern Day Debate. Tonight we are debating, is racism real? Tonight we have Mango T crossing forward. And going first tonight is Mango T, so I will turn it over to Mango T for his 5-minute opening statement. Mango T, at your first word, I will start the clock. So at your first word, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Kaz, and thank you, Modern Day Debates. I'm here to argue why racism does not exist. Some people believe racism is real. Others believe that it still exists. Some people believe that racism will never cease to exist. I'm here to tell you racism does not exist, period. My argument is simple. Racism cannot be objectively measured. Racism cannot be experienced objectively. Personal accounts are subject to interpretation, and racism is a definite label used to propagate further division among people. Therefore, racism does not exist. Racism can be defined as prejudice. It can be defined as discrimination. It can be defined as antagonism. But I'm telling you, this has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with the dislike of someone's skin color. Racism does not exist. It's widely considered to be a belief that a group of people possess superior qualities over others. For example, white people in America are considered to be intellectually superior than black people or the Native Americans. But we know that that's a lie. Modern interpretations of racism are based on social perceptions of biological differences between people. And these views can take the form of social actions, practices, beliefs, or political systems in which different racial groups are ordered or arranged according to their qualities. So, for example, you have white people. The political system in America is designed for white people, as some people might say, but I disagree. It's not true. Racism does not exist, and there's various examples to support this. One of the claims that people make about racism is that it's discriminatory. That black people or Native Americans are somehow being mistreated in America. They had to undergo slavery, segregation, the Jim Crow laws. But we all know all those things didn't affect black people at all. It didn't affect Native Americans at all. So what is this racism that people keep talking about? It's delusional. It's never existed. Black Wall Street, otherwise known as Greenwood District of Oklahoma, a neighborhood containing many African American businesses in the early 20th century, were very, very successful. They were living under segregation. They were living under Jim Crow. And yet the Black Americans were just as successful as their white counterparts. During the early 20th century, segregation was predominantly practiced across the South and the North, which forced separation between the races. African Americans were subjected to de facto second-class citizenship and were prohibited from interacting and engaging with the white population. Segregation and so-called racism did not prevent Jackson Ward, another example of a successful African American neighborhood in Richmond, Virginia, with a long tradition of African American businesses. So that to me shows that so-called racism does not exist. It does not prohibit one from attaining wealth.
Is everything okay, babe? You're about to go on?
Looking at the time, I don't think I can go overboard. I have some other points to address, but I'm happy to end it there.
All right, thank you, Mango T. We'll go ahead and kick it to T Jump for his opening statement. T Jump, the floor is all yours.
Racism is real. Nazis were a thing. QED. Done.
All right, We'll go ahead and kick into the open discussion in just a second. But before we do, I just want to let you know, especially if this is your first time on Modern Day Debate, that we are a neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And we want you to feel welcome no matter what walk of life you're from. And if you have a question for one of tonight's debaters, fire it into the old live chat and be sure to tag me at Modern Day Debates. Super chats will go to the top of the list. All we ask is that you keep it civil and address the question, the argument, and not the person. Insults will not be read. Our moderators are working tirelessly to elevate the conversation. So show them, each other, and the debaters the respect they deserve by not hurling attacks and insults. Our guests are linked in the description below. So if you're listening on YouTube or via the podcast, please sure to click on their links if you like what you're hearing and check them out for more. And hit the subscribe button as we have plenty more juicy debates coming your way. And with that, we'll go ahead and kick it to our interlocutors for our 60 minutes of open dialogue. Gentlemen, at your first word, I will start the timer. The floor is all yours.
Oh my God, let's get this over with.
Okay, you made the claim racism exists. Prove it.
Yes, the Nazis killed entire races of people and not the other races that weren't that race. Congratulations.
That's got nothing to do with race or racism.
What do you think the word racism means?
As I already mentioned, it can be defined in multiple ways.
Okay, so define it.
It's, as I already mentioned, it's discrimination. It can be discrimination. It could be prejudice.
So like killing an entire group of people because they're that group of people, is that a kind of discrimination?
No, not at all.
What do you think the word discrimination means?
It just means treating someone less fairly than others.
So like killing them would be treating them less fairly, wouldn't it?
Not at all. It's never existed.
Oh God.
It's designed to basically create a group of hateful people. That's all racism is. That's all sexism is. That's all.
So racism is treating people, discriminating against a group of people.
When you teach people, specifically in the American education system, they teach students about racism.
I don't give a shit.
Mago,
go back to the argument.
Do you know what the end result is?
No, Mago. I just crushed your point. You need to go back and address what you just said, because what you just said.
No,
just granted I was right.
Any of my points.
So you said racism is discrimination against a group. Discrimination is treating one group differently,
I'm
right?
saying racism does not exist at all.
I don't, Mango, stop talking and listen to the words I'm saying. So I asked you a question. I asked you, what is racism? And you answered that question. You said it's discrimination against one group over another, right?
No, I said that there's multiple meanings.
That's great. That's great. So is this one of the means you said, discrimination?
Sure.
Great. And is discrimination, I asked you to define that term, and you said it's treating one group differently. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Is killing one group and not killing another group treating one group differently than another group?
No.
God, so stupid.
It's not.
How do you define treating one group differently than another group, Mango?
That's just, do you want to know the answer to that?
Yes, that's why I asked, Mango.
It's just hatred.
Okay, how do you...
It is. At the end of the day, this, the idea that someone is attacking someone else based on their race is a lie.
So if hatred is discrimination, and the Nazis hated the Jews, which is why they killed them, that's racism.
I'm saying discrimination doesn't exist either. I'm saying racism does not exist.
So you think discrimination doesn't exist?
If you have a Nazi, he hates the Jews. He's not killing them based on X, Y, Z. He's killing them based on hate purely. That's it. End of story.
That's racism. Congratulations, Mango.
That is not racism.
Why did he hate them, Mango?
I'm going to kill you based on your race. I'm saying that person.
Why did he hate them, Mango?
That Jew died because they had hate in them, not because of the Jews.
Why did they hate one group and not a different group, Mango?
Why did they hate one group and not another group?
Yeah.
Because that's what they were indoctrinated with.
Congratulations, that's racism, Mango.
That's not racism. That's hatred.
It is.
No, it isn't.
So if racism is discrimination and discrimination is hatred, and they had hatred for one group and not another group, congratulations, Mango, modus ponens. That's racism. You just admitted that I'm right.
That's not racism.
Mango, those are the definitions
Because
you gave. We're going off the definitions you gave.
Has to have an effect on you.
What?
Does racism have an effect?
Yes.
How?
Killing people, lots of people.
If you can't defend yourself against someone who hates you, then that shows that you're weak and you're susceptible to attack. That's all it shows.
It literally doesn't have anything to do with the topic, Mango.
If I see a Nazi killing a Jew, all I see is one hateful man killing an innocent person. I don't see a German killing a Jew based on their traditions or their race. That's a lie.
How is that a lie, Mango? What are the other reasons? What other reasons did they kill the Jews?
Because they hate them.
Yes, because of their cultural practices?
No, because they have an inner conflict within them. The Nazi Party had an inner conflict within them.
That's stupid, Mango, because if that was the reason, that would apply to everyone, not just the
When you
Jews.
have this inner conflict within you and you have hatred residing in you, you look at the outside world and you start pointing fingers at others for your own problem.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
great,
that's
Mango.
exactly
It doesn't address
what
the
it is.
topic. So again,
That's part of it. And then
no, it's not. Mango, you have to actually use logic here. Hold up. Stop your gibberish. Stop your gibberishing, and you have to actually address the topic. So, why did they kill the Jews and not the other groups that were also there? Because if it's just they had hatred in their hearts, Mango, they would have killed all the other groups. But they didn't. They targeted one group more than the rest of the groups. Why did they do that, Mango?
Because I don't think you understand the underlying.
I asked you a question. Why did they do that? Not what I understand doesn't have anything to do with what they did 50 years ago.
I would suggest instead of studying racism, that you study hatred and understand
how about
hatred works.
Answer the question.
When you hate something, right? When you have an inner conflict within yourself,
answer the question.
And you look out to the world and you point at something, you're going to stick to that thing and you're going to continue to hate that thing. And you're not going to put your focus on other things. You're just going to put all your focus and hatred on that one thing.
Right. So you hate one thing more than the other things, like one group more than a different group. Like, oh, isn't that racism? Holy shit, Mango.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Because when you imply racism, you're basically saying that there's an oppressor and the oppressed.
Yeah, the one with the gun and the one that doesn't have the gun.
And when the oppressed hear the words hear the words racism, they begin to become like their oppressors.
That makes zero sense whatsoever. It's gibberish.
Does that not make sense?
No, I just said it didn't make sense.
That's why I literally said it. Institutions created racism. They knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to create more hateful people, and so they designed the word racism in order to sort of propagate further divide among the people.
Who designed the word racism, Mango? Where did that word come from?
When the oppressed hear the word racism, they immediately...
Who invented the word racism, Mango?
Institutions.
Which institutions? At what time frame? When in history was this word invented? Did the Nazis invent the word?
It's an American institution. I'm not going to name names, but they created the term.
What? Wait a minute. So it doesn't come from Latin? It's not a Latin-based word?
Many words are Latin-based, but that doesn't mean that Latin is the one that created it.
I don't think you understand the concept of etymology, Mango. Not really surprising. I don't really understand any concepts.
I do. There are many words that have Latin origins, but the Latin meaning is nothing to do with the words that we're using.
That's backwards. So the meaning of the words is the same, and the word itself is the difference. So
there's some similarities, but it's not the same.
No, Mango. So like the origin of female is famin, which also meant woman. So the word meant the same thing, even though it was a different word.
Either way, like, it doesn't exist. I don't care what the origins of the words are. That's besides the point. Because when you use racism, all you're doing is making more hateful people. The oppressed are using this word.
So they killed people because they wanted to make more people. That makes
So all you're
perfect
doing
sense.
is creating a further divide.
So they killed people because they wanted to make more hateful people. That's the logic here? They didn't want to eliminate people. They wanted to make more of them. So they killed them. It makes perfect sense.
No, I'm saying when you label the Nazi, the persecution of the Jews as racism, then you haven't really all you're doing is you're just creating further divide among Jews and Germans and Nazis. But in reality,
the Nazis don't exist anymore. At least not in big numbers. So it doesn't create any more divide. It's a description of past events. Oh, he froze. Thank God.
Maybe I'll just you'll come back. Probably. Let me just say, if you guys have any super chats for tonight's debaters, please feel free to fire them into the old live chat. Super chats will go to the top of the list, but if you don't want to send a super chat, you can tag me at Modern Day Debates. But again, as I said, super chats will go to the top of the list. And again, if you like what you're hearing from either of tonight's debaters, they are linked in the description, especially if you're listening on YouTube, but also if you're listening via podcast. So hopefully we will have them back in a moment. And don't forget to like the stream if you like what you're hearing, and subscribe for more juicy debates. And he's gone. I think, Tom, you have vanquished him, but only for a moment, for he has returned. There he is.
Awesome. Sorry about that.
Computer is racist against him. It doesn't like his skin color.
Your victory was short-lived. All right.
It's not true. But yeah, so as I was saying, all you're doing is you're creating a further divide among the people.
Literally doesn't matter what the divide is, Mango. Whether or not there's a divide has absolutely no difference to whether or not racism is real. Even if it does create a divide, it's still real. It's the appeal to consequence fallacy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't exist.
Oh my God! Follow the logic. You said, Mango. Follow the logic. So you said that it causes this consequence of causing greater divide, and I said that literally doesn't matter, you idiots, because whether or not it causes a divide is completely irrelevant to whether or not it's a real thing. So what you said is stupid.
Are you serious? You haven't even given any proof yet.
Nazis prove. There you go.
Racism. That's hate.
That's racism. They hated a group more than other groups. That's racism. Congratulations.
It isn't. It's just hate.
More of one group more than another group.
No,
that's
to do with more of one group or the other group the other groups that weren't affected by the hate. They were just the lucky ones.
That's
all
great.
it is. That
literally doesn't matter. Even if that was true, it still wouldn't make it not racism.
It's not racism. It's literally hatred.
Of one group more than another group.
If I started hating white people, how would you define that?
Racism.
How?
You hate one group based on their identity or their origin, social origin, more than other groups. That's it.
Whoa. How did you make that conclusion? That's all assumptions.
By the dictionary.
All I've said to you is I hate white people. I didn't talk about their qualities. I didn't talk about how they
You literally did. That's what white people means. White people is a quality. The whiteness, quality.
No. That's not true at all.
The flat earth response. No, the no response. The no flat earth response.
No, that's not true.
No.
And you're still having difficulty explaining how racism exists. Because you mentioned that racism has an effect, right?
Yes.
If that's the case, why were there successful African American businesses in Oklahoma and Virginia during the time of segregation and so-called discrimination?
Because not literally everyone is racist to the same degree, and not literally everyone is affected by racism.
Exactly. Racism is a spectrum. You know,
thank you for admitting it's real. Yes, it's a spectrum. Correct.
No,
so it's real.
It doesn't exist.
It can't not exist and be a spectrum, Mango. You got to pick one.
No, I'm trying to tell you that I'm trying to define how you're looking at racism. Are you looking at racism as a spectrum, right?
Sure.
You can't even properly define it. Therefore, it does not exist.
Racism is
If I put T-Jump on a
no.
spectrum,
Shut up, Mango. So racism is discrimination against one group over a
how
different group. Like there you go. I just defined it for you.
know which one is the right T-Jump?
What?
If I placed you on a spectrum, how would I know which one is the right T-Jump?
What? That literally makes no sense, Mango.
Exactly. So putting racism
Your
on a
words
spectrum
make no sense. Racism makes perfect sense. Your words make no sense.
If racism makes sense, why do you need to put it on a spectrum?
There are lots of things that make sense that are on a spectrum. Numbers. Wait. Stop talking, Mango. Stop. Shut up and let me respond to your question.
Hold on.
Numbers are on a spectrum. Colors are on a spectrum. They make sense. Height is on a spectrum. It makes sense. Weight is on. Shut up and listen, Mango. Weight is on a spectrum. It makes sense. The ability to see is on a spectrum. It makes sense. Lots of things are on a spectrum. Most things are on a spectrum, and they make perfect sense. Mango, you're dumb.
It's not true at all. Numbers on a spectrum, each number on that spectrum is completely different to their counterparts.
Is height and weight, are those spectrums?
You say that racism is clear as day.
Whoa. Go back. Are height and weight spectrums?
Yeah.
Do they make sense?
No, that's why you need to define specifically. That's why, wait, I'm not finished. That's why you need to define specifically. It's ambiguous. What is weight?
Height and weight are ambiguous.
You need to specify exactly
the amount of mass you have and the scalar size of your height relative to the parallel to the orthogonal to the Earth. Yes, those make perfect sense. Height and weight.
Okay. Wait, are you saying that that people can be racist and they can be also good?
Oh, he froze again. Thank God.
Is he frozen to you? I can't hear him.
Yeah, he's
Mango?
not saying words.
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Damn it.
Are you saying that you can be a racist and also be a good person? Is that a possibility?
Sure.
How?
Because you don't act on the racism. So if you act on good intentions and good morality, even if you are racist, you can still be a good person. So someone can hate an entire group and not act on it. It's impossible.
If you're racist, it's impossible for you to be a good person. It's absolutely impossible. It's out the window.
No, it's not. It's pretty easy. Like, a person can be totally racist and just hate another group, but still recognize that that's irrational and decide to do the moral thing.
You can be saving lives and you can be saving babies, but ultimately, if you have racism in you, you're wicked.
No, that's not how it works. Thought crime isn't a thing. You're not wicked because of the thoughts you have. You'd be wicked if you acted on them. So just having the thoughts isn't wicked.
That's not true.
Also, if it's impossible for you to be both racist and a good person, that means racism must be real. Because if it wasn't real, then it would be possible, wouldn't it?
No. Because you said that it's possible to be racist and good.
Yes. And you said it's impossible. And if it's impossible, that means it has to be a real thing.
No, it's because there is no racism. It's just hatred.
Which is racism. Those are the same thing.
No, because again, as you said, racism has an effect, but it didn't affect the African Americans during segregation. It didn't.
Yes, it did.
In Germany.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
It's as successful as their white counterparts. So you're completely lying.
So again, you're making composition division fallacy. You're saying because it didn't affect some small percentage, therefore it had no effect on any of them at all. Composition division fallacy. You're an idiot.
That's not a fallacy. That's reality.
It's literally a composition division fallacy.
Are you like trolling or something?
No, I think that's what you do consistently.
How is racism real? You still haven't proved any evidence.
I literally have. There are groups of people who target other groups of people based on their race and kill them, known as the Nazis.
That's all assumptions.
How is that an assumption? We have graves, mass graves, full of Jews.
Yeah, that's based on hate. That's not based on racism.
If it was based on hate, why is it only the Jews that are in those graves?
Because they were the ones that they were targeting.
Yes,
you're
they were
hateful,
targeting one group over another, which is discrimination, which is racism. Congratulations, you're an idiot.
when you are hateful, you can only focus on one
That's
thing.
racism. You're just granting that there's racism.
No,
Congratulations.
I don't think you understand how hate works.
If you hate one group over other groups, that's racism.
No, it isn't.
Yes, yes, it is.
It isn't.
Nuh-uh. The flat Earth
That's
response. The nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Flat Earth response. Genius.
That's hatred. If you look at sexism, for example,
We've already covered this. Hatred is
hatred.
racism if it's towards a specific group over other groups.
Okay, you know what? Forget about that. Let's look at what the damaging effects this so-called racism has done to our society.
Killed millions of Jews.
Racism only creates more hateful people. In schools and universities today in America, they
What does this
educate
have to do with the topic? Like, literally, it wouldn't even matter if that's true.
I'm trying to paint a picture as why a damaging thing that doesn't exist, by the way, has on our society. This made-up concept.
If it doesn't exist and it's
damaging
damaging,
effects that it has on our society is unbelievable.
that literally doesn't. So if it doesn't exist, then how can it have a damaging effect on society?
Well, the institutions.
Pwned.
Well, let me finish. The institutions created this idea of racism and indoctrinated the students about it. And other students are living their lives thinking that racism exists, when in reality, it's just hatred.
Those are the same thing, Mango. Again, racism is hatred for one group over another.
No, it isn't, because racism is a judgmental term. Hatred is a non-judgmental term.
That doesn't even make sense, Mango.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Because not everyone can be classified as a racist, but everyone has done something bad in our lives. We've all done something hateful, right?
What does that have to do with the topic? Like, everyone breathes, but not everyone can breathe underwater. Congratulations. Still breathing.
What? What? I'm saying is, when you classify and define someone as being hateful, it's a non-judgmental term.
God, Mango, all roses are flowers, but not all flowers are roses. All racism is hate, but not all hate is racism. Congratulations.
Exactly. So
That means I'm right, Mango. That's what that means.
No. That's what makes it non-judgmental. And actually, when you actually define someone as
they're the same class of thing.
When you define someone as hateful, when you define someone as hateful rather than racist, you're actually helping to solve the problem instead of creating more division and more hate and more.
Literally irrelevant. Appeal to consequence. We've already gone over that.
What?
Appeal to consequence fallacy, whether or not it has a negative effect or not, is completely irrelevant to whether or not it exists.
It does. If we're talking about conceptual ideas, yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
You can appeal to consequences if it's conceptual. Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
It's literally a fallacy. Appeal to consequence fallacy. It does not add or subtract to the truth of the statement one way or the other. Stupid.
Right. But it's still a perfectly valid point to make, and people would agree with me. At the end of this discussion, people would agree with me. At the end of this discussion,
no one agrees with you. If you say it's right that an appeal to consequence fallacy, stop. If you say it's right that an appeal to consequence fallacy has no impact, stop talking, Mango. Shut up, Mango. If you say it's right that an appeal to consequence fallacy has no effect on the truth or falsity of a proposition, then literally it's completely irrelevant to the conversation. In order for it to be relevant, it has to have some effect on the truth or falsity of the proposition. Holy shit, Mango.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
If you are classified as a good person, do you have any bad in you?
Sure.
Then you're not a good person.
All or nothing fallacy.
There's no gray areas.
Yes, there are. There are lots of them. They're called spectrums. They all exist.
Do you seriously believe in gray areas?
Yes, gray is a color. Congratulations. It's in between black and
Wow.
white.
There is no gray areas.
Literally, gray is in fact a gray area.
When you concentrate on gray areas, you're concentrating on confusion. That's all you're concentrating on. There
Your
is
words
no,
are confusion.
you're either hateful or you're not. It's that simple.
No, it's not. Literally, just anyone in
It is.
psychology, just
It
any
is.
paper in psychology, how the human
It
mind
is.
works.
It
So,
is.
so
Psychology
how does
is a
that
lie.
that work in the brain?
I
Mango?
use
Is that
psychology
like a
textbooks as
hateful
toilet
neuron?
paper. It's a lie.
Is there like a hateful neuron that gets fired, and if the hateful neuron is off, then you can't be hateful? Is that
This
how it
has
works in the
nothing to
brain?
do with neurons. There's no biological
There's
consequences. This has everything to do with spiritual matters.
if hateful is either on or off, then it has to be a biological thing in the brain, Mango. It has to be a neuron or something.
Nope. Not a neuron. Nope. Not at all.
Magical pixies, farting
And you either
leprechauns.
hate or you're good. That's it. There's no gray areas. And if someone tells you that there's gray areas, it's because they're wicked and hateful, and they're trying to justify their hateful actions. How dare you, T-Jump, say that there are gray areas?
Oh my god.
And this is why racism does not exist.
Okay, I can't take anymore. I'm ready to go to Q&A.
You want to go to Q&A now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, in that case, we don't have many questions, only a couple, really. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any questions for tonight's debaters, now would be a great time to send them, because we only have a few. And the stream will be ending very shortly if you don't. So, let's go. Let me end this clock then and put the 30 minutes on the clock then. 1 second, guys. Wasn't prepared for that. Sorry. Yeah. All right. So, Brute Facts Podcast, member for 4 months, says, why did Mango leave out the race massacre of Tulsa?
That was not a racist massacre at all. It was triggered by a black person doing something illegal to a white person, and the white people reacted.
By killing the black people.
Like, wait. You find multiple examples of the same thing happening with the roles reversed. So that's a silly argument. It's nothing to do with race. It's got to do with the agreements that they made with the other white people. They agreed that they were to live separately, and they agreed that none of them would come together at all. And if there was anyone that was gonna come together, the other party would come over and start pillaging. That was just common practice then.
T-Jump, do you want to say anything about that since we have so much time?
It's not racism because the other people do it too. Perfect argument.
It's got nothing to do with racism. It's about a breach of agreement. And if you breach that agreement, then we're going to come over and pillage. That's just how it is.
Gotcha. Ladies and gentlemen, please send us some super chats. We have plenty of time left in this Q&A and not very many questions. From Samar Rao for $4.99 says, you can't be racist and be a good person. What about the founding father? Sorry. What about the founding fathers? I'd argue they were great. Also, T-Jump, that hairstyle really ain't it.
It is it. I got paid for this hairstyle, and that is the only legitimate reason to have any hairstyle.
I can attest to that. All right. And that's the end of the super chats, fellas. So Walter says, so it's not just redefining racism as a subset of human hatred. It's saying hatred exists, but doesn't have any of the effects that we observe racism does actually have. That's for you, Mango.
Does it have any effects like racism?
You may read it again. So it's not just redefining racism as a subset of human hatred. It's saying hatred exists, but doesn't have any of the effects that we observe racism does actually have.
Yes, exactly. When you actually define things as hate, you immediately are able to come up with a solution to the problem. But when you define things as racism, it will never end. And there are many people who think that racism will never end because of that. If you define what happened to the Jews as hate, you'll be able to find a solution to the problem. If you define the persecution of Black people in America as hate, you'll be able to find a solution to that problem as well. But if you define it as racism, it's just going to continue. It's never going to end. That's my answer.
It's absolute gibberish. So how does defining it with one word over the other make any difference to the solution to the problem? So let's say we define the Nazis as hateful instead of racist. How does that solve the problem?
Because we can all relate to doing something hateful in our lives. We've all done something hateful.
Which has what to do with
not
finding
all
a
of us
solution to the problem?
Racist. And that's why I said racist. The term racist is actually a judgmental term, and it doesn't do anything to solve the problem. It just creates more hateful people. But if you define it as
You're not
hate,
answering the question.
we can all relate to hate because we've all done something hateful in our lives, and we can understand that this person isn't the best. They're not
answering the question.
What do you mean?
The question was, you said, defining something as hate gives us an ability to find a solution to the problem. Defining something as racism does not. It's impossible to find a solution to the problem. So let's change the definition or change the word from racism to hate. How does that give us a better solution to, I don't know, the Holocaust?
As I already mentioned, we can all relate to hate. We've all done something hateful in our lives. Not all of us can relate to racism or being a racist. And because not all of us can relate to that, a lot of us are going to judge the person that is a racist. But instead, if we flipped it and use hate instead of racism, we can all relate to that, and we would actually come up with a solution to solve that problem.
That's stupid. Like, just saying you relate to it doesn't mean you can come up with a solution. That's stupid. I relate to aging doesn't mean I can come up with a solution to aging.
What? That's a biological mechanism. It's got nothing to do with...
So is your brain, Mango. Everything in your brain is a biological mechanism.
It's not all biological, man. There's spiritual matters involved as well. And this is why when you use the term racism, you're not helping. All you're doing is adding fire to the flames.
Gotcha. Okay. From Alex Gross for $5 says, Mango, if racism is not real, why is everyone so goddamn mean to Cleveland in Family Guy?
I mean, I really don't know. Maybe they're... I know that the show's creator is a comedian, so he's probably looking to, make edgy jokes. Not everything is racism. I mean, like, if I made a Twitter post criticizing Black people, there's a chance for me to lose my job, lose my livelihood, lose everything because of so-called racism. You know how it's such a damaging ideology.
I got one. Brute Fat Podcast asked, Super Chat, what does Mango call hate because of race?
It's got nothing to do with race. It's just hate. And you can apply this to all aspects, such as sexism.
Yeah, I don't hate pineapple on pizza. I just hate in general, and it just doesn't apply to the one thing that I actually hate.
All right.
If you hate pineapple on pizza, that's not hate. That's just something that you just don't prefer.
That wasn't the point, Mango.
All right. Question from Minecraft Player for $1.99 says, how can racism be real if our eyes aren't real?
If our eyes aren't real? What?
Yes. I believe he's trolling you.
Well, I mean, unless you're an octopus.
It's just a joke, I'm pretty sure. From Adriana, I'm sorry I can't pronounce his last name, but for $2 says, Mango, do you follow Jesse Lee Peterson?
Who's that?
JLP Beta. You know that guy?
No, I don't know who that is.
No? Oh man, you're missing out. All right. From Samar Rao for $4.99 says, question for both. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think you performed on this debate?
Oh, -5 billion brain cells.
I've increased my brain cells to 1.
Gotcha. Snake was right for $5 says, what's the difference between hate based on race and racism?
As I already mentioned, there's no such thing as hate on race. It's all just hatred. All just hatred.
From Oliver Catwell for $5 says, Tom, when you took your chair home for the first time, did your parents accept it for what it is, or did they want less ethnic furniture?
No, the chair just ate them. It ate my parents.
Gotcha. From Samar Rout for $1.99 says, Mango, can you help me get a girlfriend?
Yeah, sure can. Hit me up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm not sure if this is the name. Says, what? I see where Mango is going with this. He is trying to say people are people no matter what race. Is that what you're trying to say?
Sure. If you want to go with that. I mean, people are people. And whether, if you're a so-called racist, you're not really a racist. You're just a hateful person. And hate is the preferred umbrella term used to describe people who are so-called racist. It's a better term to use. I'm probably going off track, but yeah, people are people. Yes.
Gotcha. From Minecraft player at Modern Day Debate, what is exists? Oh, that's a good question, actually. Mango T, what is exists?
Something that's happening now, or something that has happened.
A happening.
Yeah.
You frozen?
Oh. Yeah. No. Something that resides in objective reality.
Interesting. Okay.
I got a super chat from Brute Facts Podcast. Can colorblind people hate because of color?
Look, it's got nothing to do with what white people makeup is. If you hate, whether it's so-called racism or sexism or whatever, it's hate. It's nothing to do with the person's race. People have it twisted. They've twisted it. They've, because there was a time in the world where people understood that people had hate.
There's no such thing as roses. Roses don't exist. There's just only flowers.
In fact, if you studied World War II and you read most of the Allies newspapers, they would actually label what the Nazis were doing to the Jews as hate, not as racism or this or that or whatever, just as hate. Go read the old newspapers, man. People back then viewed others as hateful people. That's it. They didn't view them as racists. They didn't view them as sexists. They didn't view them as bigots. They used one word to describe every evil person, and that was hate.
To TJump's point, would you say roses exist, or would you say that all roses are just flowers?
That's like, why are we trying to you can't, it's a rose. It's clearly there's differences. Clearly it exists. We can see it. That's not even a question.
All From Snake was right for $5 says, how can there be no race-based hate when people explicitly state they hate certain races?
Yeah, again, they're part of that, bubble that we're all living in. Everybody has this collective understanding that you can hate a specific race and somehow still be a good person. That's delusional. That person needs to go into a psychiatric ward. The very fact that you think that you can be someone that's good and also hate someone's race.
What question? That was not the question.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. The question was people specifically say they hate others because of their race.
Right. And
they never said they're good people. They can admit they're bad people. Okay,
cool. Let's say they're bad people and they say out loud, I hate this XY race, whatever. They're delusional. They're just hating. They don't actually hate the person's race. It's just that they hate and they don't. Okay, let me explain this. So because when they have hatred in them, they don't know how to define it. And so they will look around and they will just point their finger towards something and then they would say, I hate that person because of their skin color. When in reality, they just don't understand that inner conflict within them, that hatred that boils in them. They don't understand it. And so they point the finger at other things and start hating that, thinking that the hatred stems from that. But in reality, it stems from within. Does that make sense?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Not one bit.
Not even a little bit.
So basically, to summarize, if you find someone saying out loud, I hate whoever, they don't actually really hate that person. They're just a little bit confused. They have this inner conflict within them, and they are sort of deceiving themselves into thinking that they actually hate that person, when in reality, they have this sort of inner conflict within them, and they don't know what it is. Does that make sense?
Let's move on. From Adriana Bevacqua from for $5 says, Mango, amazing. Or I should say amazing.
Amazing.
Please check out JLP. That's Jesse Lee Peterson. He is the founder of White History Month. July just feels white. He also says racism does not exist.
Awesome. I guess I'm not alone.
I'm certainly not alone. From Sir Richard.
Racism, can I just say, racism is a very new concept. I think racism only existed like for the past 60 years. It's never.
So it does exist.
No, I'm saying the idea of racism, it only existed for the past 60 years. Like, people have only accepted it in the last 60 years. Before that, people would view people like that as just hateful. But hey, that's it. That's all I have to say.
Does honesty exist?
Does honesty exist?
Not in this debate. No.
Mango,
Sure,
would you say that honesty does exist in the real world?
I don't know.
All right, that's fine. Let's move on. From Sir Richard N. Bals, the fifth or fourth, for $2 says, Mango, mi boyo, is the earth flat?
Absolutely, yes. No, I'm just kidding. It's round.
Gotcha. Minecraft player for $1.99 to both debaters. Does deadbeat dadism exist?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure T-Jump has a lot of experience around that.
Gotcha. From Rockin' Woodworks. Question. Hate may be part of it, but racism is defined by one thinking they are superior than another based on race. True or not?
No. So racism doesn't necessarily mean to think that you're superior. You can be racist and think that you're inferior. So like you can think that your race is inferior to a different race and still be racist. Uncle Tom kind of a thing.
Isn't that in your name?
No.
Okay. From Notorious TBG says, I missed it. Does Mango believe racism exists or doesn't exist? Want to just clear that up for them real quick?
Actually exists.
You
No,
say
it doesn't
exist.
exist at all.
Doesn't exist.
Not at all.
Notorious TBG.
It's a made up.
Mango does not believe it exists. From Brian Witt for $5. Mormonism used to teach the Spirit of the Lord saith the Negro had no right nor cannot hold the priesthood. How is that not racial discrimination?
That's just a belief. It's nothing to do with racism. How is that racist? Like, how does
Racism
anyone,
is a belief.
wait, how does anyone sit there and think that's a racist belief? How? It's just a part of their belief. Who cares?
Okay. From Twisted at TJump. Is the chair okay? You keep it clean and in good repair? We'll unsubscribe if you are unethical. Read the chair.
The chair is immortal. It can't be sullied. It's impossible.
Gotcha. From DOG for TJump. Do you know the world is flat, right? You do know the earth is flat, right?
The earth is not flat. Only flat earth dum-dums think that the world is flat.
Yeah, but you do know it's
Why
flat.
can't I feel any movement then?
Well, you can't feel like anything. So let me just. If we're going based off what Mango feels, then nothing exists.
But you know, right? You know. All right, the Hatter.
Nuh-uh.
Holy shit. Why does he think it matters what the racism does? It does matter if it doesn't end.
So TJump, do you think racism will continue forever? It will forever exist?
No, when all humans die, it will probably be gone.
I'm not talking about when humans die. I'm just talking about, as
Oh my
humanity
God. That would be in the forever. At some point in forever, when all conscious agents die, there will be no racism.
I'm not talking about literally. I'm talking about during the time of human existence.
Possibly.
Cool.
From Lord Dave Dyer, Mango is 100% right. Nazis went after Jews because their narrative required victims. Sound familiar to anyone? TJump has not proved anything.
Exactly.
And from Charles Woods, for Mango, why did the Nazis hate the Jews? And how would that be different from the definition for racism?
You answered your own question. They hate the Jews. That's it.
How is that different from the definition of racism?
What their traditions were or what their impacts were on society. It's everything to do with hate.
How is that different from the definition of racism?
Racism says, hate by race. That's not true. It's just hate. It's only hatred. You can't have hatred and something else. Because when you add something to hatred, all you're doing is you're nullifying the thing that you just added. It doesn't matter. You can be hateful and then you can say, I hate my race, I hate my sex, I hate by this, I hate by that. But ultimately, it's just hate. Does that make sense?
No.
When you add something, when you add anything to hate, it nullifies. And all you end up with is just hate.
Gotcha. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that super chats will go to the top of the list. They will be the next thing read if you send one now. From Matthew Waters, Mango, you can be racist without meaning to.
Yeah, it's called the comedian.
The what? I'm sorry?
It's called the comedy act.
Comedy act. Gotcha. From Jacob McKenzie for $5. A new command the chair giveth thee. Love one another, as the chair hath loved you, so you must love one another. Mango 316. Got it. The mystery cook. Does racism exist? So the KKK are not racist?
No.
Aryan Brotherhood are not racist? Skinheads are not racist?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not even. I don't even think that it doesn't exist, as I already mentioned. So look, let's pretend that we all agree that racism doesn't exist, right? How would you classify the KKK?
We'd make up a new term called racism and call them racist.
No, I said racism doesn't exist. You can't create a new term. How would you classify them without the word racism?
Racist.
No, everyone would agree it's hate. That's all it is. Everything boils down to hate. It's got nothing to do with race.
Brute Fact Podcast asks, does Mango know that he's black?
Does what? What?
Does Mango know that he's black?
Yes. What's that got to do with anything?
The Rigged Election 2020 says, T-Jump, do you know blacks take slaves in Africa today, according to Boko Haram in Nigeria?
Yes, there is lots of slavery all over the world still today. I don't know why
Boko
that
Haram.
matters.
And wait. What's wrong with slavery?
Slavery is immoral and evil and bad and makes you bad.
If you are someone who's in indentured servitude, what if you willingly got yourself into slavery and you agree to it?
That's not slavery.
So indentured servitude is not slavery.
Indentured servitude is indentured servitude. Slavery is when you have no rights.
Right. And what if I willingly accept to have no rights?
That's fine, but that's not what he means by slavery.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying slavery doesn't exist either. Most people that are in so-called slavery, they accept the terms and agreements. So I'm not sure what you're talking about.
No, they definitely don't.
In fact, if you look at American history, the very first slave owner that officially had a slave was a black person in America. There you go.
Which is irrelevant.
What do you mean it is irrelevant? That's what the question was about.
No, it wasn't.
All right. From the 16th doc for $5 says, T-Jump, I appreciate your willingness to debate even the most absurd individuals.
Thank you. I'm paid for it. That's why I do it. If I wasn't paid, I wouldn't do it.
From Notorious TBG says, judging someone based on race is just an oversimplification. It's just a useful way of conveying an attitude that applies to a significant portion of that population.
I have no idea what that question means, but I'm thinking they're saying...
I think they're trying to describe for you what the phenomena called racism is.
Right. And I'm saying it doesn't exist. And when you pretend that it does exist, you're causing more harm than good.
Gotcha. Okay. From Snake Was Right for $2 says, what's wrong with racism as a type of hate?
Again, as I already mentioned, when you add things to hate, like, for example, if you say hate by race, it doesn't matter. Because when you add something to hate, the thing that you've added to hate is eradicated. It is nullified. Everything boils down to hate. There's no such thing as hate by race.
Gotcha. From Samar Rao for $1.99 says, thoughts on the movie Kung Fu Panda?
Great movie. Best movie ever.
Mango?
Yeah, great movie if you're under the age of 10.
Gotcha. Space is a Lie for $10 says, is Mango trying to say that racism is not a special form of hatred? That we have a made-up hierarchy of hatred where we put race-based hatred at the top, but we shouldn't? I'm confused.
Exactly. Racism is just confusion. It just causes so much confusion in everybody. Wouldn't it be just so much easier if we all just labeled evil people as hateful people?
No, because there are different kinds of hate, and it's useful to distinguish between the different kinds of hate.
Yes, it's useful to distinguish it in, certain circumstances, like in the court of law or in a textbook, or But I'm talking about in the social contexts.
Yes, like the law.
That's
a
different.
social context, Mango.
It's perfectly legitimate to try to categorize hate, but to think that it exists is ridiculous.
Okay, from Razhender Wild says, race is a construct.
No, because I know there's observable differences between T-Jump and I. So no, I disagree.
Gotcha. From Woody Woodpecker says, what does Mango call it when someone hates another person because of their skin color?
As I mentioned for the 1000th time, it's hate.
Gotcha. From Mr. Anderson, racism exists, but who cares?
It doesn't exist, and if you think that it exists, you're the problem, not the solution.
Gotcha. From Randy Watkins, does Mango Tea know what the word means? Racism. Oh, no, racism, that is. Said it too many times tonight.
Yeah, it has like multiple meanings. It's so ambiguous, and it's up to interpretation, really. Like, as I mentioned, if I made a Twitter post criticizing Black people, some people would interpret it as racist, others would interpret it as bigoted or whatever. Like, it's all up to interpretation. This is why I'm saying it doesn't exist. It's just a made-up, playful word that it was created to divide people and not unite us.
Gotcha. Last question for the night from Palmo316 says, question for Mango. The KKK explicitly state they exist as a white supremacist group. Can you explain how they aren't racist?
I guess they just love their own skin color. What's wrong with that? And they presumably hate Black people. Okay. That is not hate by race. That's just hate.
And we did get a last minute super chat. This will be the last super chat. Don't send any more, guys. For $5 from Sir Richard N. Ballas IV says, I applaud you, Mango. You just abolished racism in America. T-Jump, bad arguments.
Thank you so much.
There are way too many flat earthers on this channel.
He's autistic, and he looks at the world through his autistic worldview, and that's really damaging because that's not how the world works, T-Jump.
All right, time is up. Let me turn that off. Okay, so that will conclude our question and answer portion for the night. And I just want to say thank you to both of you guys for being here tonight. This was a pleasure to host you. I also want to say thank you to the moderators in the chat for keeping the discussion civil. I'm sure you had quite a lively discussion tonight to foster. Thank you to James for creating this platform so much, for doing this and creating modern day debates. Thank you to the audience and everybody watching in the live chat, and everybody who sent super chats and elevated the conversation. And lastly, just want to say, like the video if you loved it, share it if you want to spread it, and subscribe as we have plenty more juicy debates coming your way. And I just want to say, keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable, everybody. I hope you all have a great night, and we'll catch you on the next one.